Our first session for today is finding space in midfield to attack wide areas, and this was one that we done at Fulham in the Premier League. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do, I'm going to give you about a minute to get a pen, paper, maybe get your device out, your iPad, to make some notes. I'm going to be asking everyone on the live call to put comments into YouTube. And also, if you're watching this on the recording and you want to post something about it, if you can please drop it into our community, and make sure you do at Raymond Wood inside the content of the message, so I will see it and then I'll be able to reply to everyone and I'll be able to help you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this short video for everyone, and then once we've played the short video, I will do a small whiteboard session for 10 minutes walking through the key areas. I hope you enjoy this, guys, and make sure you got your pens and paper at the ready. So you'll see in this next session that we've still got the floating player in blue. So that's for an overload in the middle of the park. You'll also notice they've actually got 4 goals set up now. So they've got a goal here, which is basically a dummy or a man put on the side. They've got another one there. And then the other goal that they've got is there, the blue board. And then they've got another goal, which is just there, the red board. So the idea is the reds and yellows are working on transition again. So when they win the ball, they can use the blue player as an overload. Once they find the blue player, then they can go and score just like that onto that goal. So again, we're focused on transition, possession, and can we get that blue player on the ball? Once we've found that blue player in the middle, then they can go on and try and score a goal. It's also working on the player in the blue. What we're focused on with the player in the blue, there we go, he's got the ball, great, now they can score, but the blue player's lost the ball. What we're focused on with the blue player in the game as well, we're looking for the blue player to find pockets of space and to play in between the lines. Again, this is a great overload session for players. Hi everyone, hopefully you got a little bit of an idea on that particular session, and what I am going to do is I'm going to walk us through the session in a little bit more detail. So if you just bear with me whilst I just connect up my board, and hopefully you guys can see everything that I'm seeing on here. So what you will see is, again, within that particular session that we were looking at, and just to cover it off, so it's finding space in the midfield to attack wide areas. So if we want to make this really, really simple, we can just put find space to attack in wide areas. So it's always good to keep it really simple. So whether you're coaching 8-year-olds or you're coaching senior men's, the language that you use is going to be different, okay? And this is one of the first points that I'm going to touch on. Now, for me, what I would advise to the 7 to 11s will be different than the older age groups. And for me, if we remember, we had red players in play, we had yellow players in play. So we'll just do it as a 3v3 for this, and then we've got the blue player in the middle. Obviously we've got our coach is on the outside getting ready to feed. The goals that we've got on the sides, okay, they are unmanned, so there's no goalkeepers in them. And the idea for me with the younger age groups, we basically just explain the rule as follows. I'm going to play a ball in to the first team that asks for the ball. So if it's the yellows, you feed the yellow straight in a ball, and that will start play straight away. Now, once the yellows have got the ball, all we need to explain to our younger age groups, you're not allowed to score until you've played the ball to a blue player, and then the blue player must pass back to you, and then you can score. If the ball goes out to play, let the ball just go out. First team to ask for the ball from me will get the next ball in play. Okay, off we go.
It needs to be that simple for the younger age group. Do not sit them down, whiteboard it and go, I want you to do this. We're going to find space attacking in wide areas. We're going to find space. We're going to look to attack in wide areas. And I want you to do this run. And they're not going to get it. Keep it really simple. We're going to play a team the ball. Whoever's in possession to score a goal, you've got to play to a blue player first. And then the blue will play you back. And then you can score. Now, the language that we use is got to be really simple and let the game be the teacher. And we've spoke about this before. How you set up the environment will enable you to basically keep quiet. You don't need to talk if you set the environment up properly, okay? Now, with the younger age groups, you might be getting no success. And what that means is every single ball you're playing in, the opposition are tackling the other team and winning the ball back, okay? Now, obviously, what you can say is as soon as the Reds win the ball, they can play it to a blue and then they can then get the ball back and then score. But if you don't see anyone score a goal in goal 1, 2, 3 or 4 within the first 3 to 5 minutes, my recommendation would be stop the play, and this is where you need to downgrade the session. Now what that means is we want to try and get some success. How do we do that? We add in a condition. So the condition might be that team who are in BPO, which means the opposition are in possession, they can't tackle. They can intercept, but they can't tackle the opposing team. What will then start to happen is your team will start to get a bit more success. Now, if you find that these players on the yellow team start just dribbling the ball all the time because they know they can't be tackled, then what you can do is you can limit the amount of touches. Now, for the player in blue, ideally in the younger age groups, you probably want to say 3 touches max. Okay? And that would be for age groups 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12s as well. Okay? Now, that's the setup for a community-based team. If they're training once a week, very new to the game of soccer or football, you've got an option to downgrade it so they get success. And what does success look like? Well, success looks like stringing a few passes together, finding the blue, and then getting into the players back on the outside. Now, what we need to make sure we do is as well, we need to make sure that we somehow zone the blue player in here. Now, if we zone the blue player in this square here, and we give them a decent sized square, it might be a 10 by 10. What we can do is to make sure success happens with the younger age group. No player is allowed inside the blue square with the blue player. But what it's going to force the players to do is, so if the yellows are in possession, because they know they want to be big and wide, because they want to try and score in one of the goals, you'll find that what will happen is, all of a sudden, will start to position themselves automatically high and wide. And they'll automatically just set up like this, and you won't even realise it, and they will just set up automatically. The Reds will automatically get sucked into the blue player. And what will then happen is you'll then start to notice these players look like they're in wide areas. And that's the teachings of 7s to 11s understanding the basis of finding space to attack in wide areas. Now, at any point do we coach them to go into wide areas? No, because if the environment is not set properly, that means you failed, not the players. Now, at the end of the session, would I encourage you to ask them any questions? 100%. Now, we've spoken about the different types of communication. We've got kinesthetic, we've got visual, we've got auditory. What I would be looking in here for would be Q&A, and I would be saying this. At the end of the session, bring all the players in around the coach. So you get all the players in, ask them to sit down and face you. okay? And this is a great opportunity to get them to all have the water bottles. So they're sipping on water, they're not talking to the friends, and they're listening and focused on you. That's one of the tricks that we discovered to the benefit of giving them water bottles at the end of the session. One, it's hydrating them, but two, it stops them from talking to each other. Now, what I would be asking them is, can I get one of the players to put your hands up if you know the answer? Don't shout it out. Can you tell me what you thought we were working on? Now, I guarantee some of the players will say we're working on passing, possession, scoring goals. And I guarantee eventually, okay, one of them will understand that you're trying to get players into wide areas. And this is the beautiful thing about doing Q&A. And it's about you asking the question, but then getting the answers from the player. Now, if they don't get the answer, you've got two ways to attack it. You can give them it as a piece of homework to have a think about it and say the first one, to tell me what we were working on tonight via the school community app or via, you know, an email, or get mum and dad to message me, you will win X, Y, or Z. It could be a Mars bar, a dairy milk, you know, a football, a soccer ball. But this is a great way to try and drive out the answers. And then once they start to understand, okay, now what you could do then is, this is where you can have an opportunity for a whiteboard, and you could draw the lines to say, okay, you're attacking this way, imagine yellows, reds, you're going that way. What positions are these guys in here? Are these in central areas or wide areas? And hopefully the players will answer wide areas, so we can then say, what are we trying to encourage you to do as a player? Where do we want you? Inside, in the middle, or in wide areas? Oh, you want us in wide areas, coach. Okay, what's the session about? Helping us to recognise space and attacking wide areas. So you'll be amazed, even 7 and 8 year olds will get this if you drive the question to them correctly and get them to give you the answers. So that's a little bit of an explainer for the younger age groups. What I will do now is, I will do very quickly a very quick setup for the older age groups, and I'll do it more on a more advanced level. So let's say you're working with an under 20s or a men's senior or women's team. So I'll upscale it to that next sort of level, so you understand what we're trying to achieve on this one. And I'll just get rid of these very, very quickly, and then we'll get started. So now with the older age group, you would do this on a bigger space, and I would encourage that the coach still has all the balls here. I would definitely encourage this with the older age group. The blue player is on one touch and everything fast with movement. The blue player for me is not boxed in anywhere. The blue player can play anywhere with the older age groups. Again, we might make this pitch nice and big, so we'll have goal 1 up there, goal 2 there. And then again, we'll have the yellows all in, we'll have the reds in. Now, one of the big things I would be encouraging with my team, especially if you're working with a more advanced group, everything has got to be on 1 to 2 touch on the outside. And what I mean by the outside is, that basically means if you are a yellow or a red player, okay, everything on 1 to 2 touch, okay. Now, if your group are really struggling with this, you probably then can take it to 3 touches for the outside players. But my advice would be, if you're working with an elite group of semi-pro or pro men or women, they should be able to work on this one. Now, this is where it can get really, really, really interesting, okay? With the older age groups, if you want to look to upscale the session and we want to take it to another level, this is what we can do. Now, you don't tell the opposing teams, but you could give each team a different rule, or you could involve both of them. But what you can do is you can say to both teams, every time you pass to the blue, okay, and every time you receive it back and then pass it back into the blue, it keeps clocking up as 1 point. So let's say you've got it into the blue player 4 times, Okay, so this equals 4 points. And then you decide to score, you will get 4 goals. At the older age groups and the more senior age groups, you don't want to get it into the blue, get it out wide, and then go for goals straight away. Because I'll be honest with you, at that level, you're not always going to have the option to do that. This is going to build up what we call patience, build up play. It's going to help you to create space, which is going to help you to find space, and that's going to allow you to achieve attacking in wide areas. So what we want to try and do is we want to try and break the team down slowly. Lots of good possession, moving the ball around, getting it into the blue, getting it back. And the idea is, if we are the yellows and we're in possession, we want to try and suck in the red players over here a little bit. We might want to try and get this player in here a little bit. And then what we've then created is, we've then created opportunities for these players to attack in these wide areas, okay? So that's a great way you can upskill that session. Now, another way you could do this as well, you could add in potentially more blue players. So we could add in a blue on the outside here and a blue on the outside here. Okay. Now, with the blue players, we can get them to auto rotate. So if they receive from a red, they can pass it to another blue if there's no red in space. But that blue, so let's say this blue receives the ball. This blue mightn't see a pass on, so we can pass it to this blue. But because it was red who passed it to the first blue, they must go back to another red. So this blue then can go to this red. And then those blues can rotate positions as well. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. Then what we can do is, you can then look at the final piece, and we've spoke about this before, okay? We go part, whole, and then back to part. Now, what does this mean? Part means this bit, what we're doing here, okay? Whole means you would take them into probably a full half a pitch. You might set up a goal in the normal position and then a goal on the halfway line. And you might go into a 7v7 or an 8v8, depending on the numbers you've got. And without telling them anything, put them in positions, put 2 wide players in place, and then just see if you start to see this build-up play that they've been learning here in the part working in the hole. Then after 10 to 15 minutes, drop them back into the part and make it a little bit tougher for them. Limit them on the touches. Maybe yellows and reds are now only on 1 touch only. Okay? And that could be a good way then to then end the session. So sometimes you might look at whole, then part, then whole. But this is a great way of splitting the session up. So you might go with 20 minutes here, 12 to 15 here, then back in here for another 10 to 15. Okay? And then with your older age groups, you are fine at the beginning of the session to say, we're going to be working on finding space in the midfield to attack in wide areas. And just from that one line, they will know exactly what you're looking for. And then you need to just follow up with that.